You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we are now streaming live, so take it away.
Good evening. I'd like to call this session of the planning board for April 12, 2021, 7 p.m. via Zoom. Can we have a roll call vote? A roll call of members present, please.
Chairman Cafasso, did you want to do the introduction? I think we had.
I may. Surely. In attendance tonight, we have members George D'Angelo,
Here.
Michael O'Connor,
Here.
Leo Pisano Jr.,
Yeah.
Cheyenne Rangel,
Yeah.
alternates James Tarr,
Here.
and Philip Mastrocola, alternate.
Here.
As our clerk on board, Jean,
I do not yet see Jeannie, no.
we do not. Our planning board director, Matthew Latanzi Esquire,
Here?
and do we have counsel? I don't see or hear counsel.
I'm here. Good evening, everyone. If you're referring to
evening.
me.
Evening, Robin.
And counsel is Robin Stein.
And Chairman Cafasso, Jeannie Vidakevich is now on.
And I, Jean Vidakevich, our clerk.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and I'm Frederick Afasto, the chairman. Can we read the disclaimer, please, Mr. Esquire?
You got it. In response to Governor Baker's declaration of a public health emergency and the related emergency executive order dated March 12, 2020, the Everett Planning Board shall be meeting remotely until further notice. The audio conferencing application Zoom will be used for this purpose. An online link and telephone access number will be provided on all meeting agendas and also on the city's website. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the city's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. This application will permit the public to access and participate in future board meetings and hearings. Instructions for joining meetings in this manner will be provided on the city and city clerk's websites. We extend our thanks for your understanding and participation in this matter, which is intended to keep members of the board and the public safe.
Thank you. We have the first order of business, please.
Sure thing. First order of business is item number 1 under old business. This is a site plan review for 2nd and Vine Street, which is a proposal to demolish the existing structures on the premises located at 12 and 24 Vine Street and 337, 349 2nd Street, Everett, Mass, to construct a new 6-story building with 320 residential units, of which 16 units are proposed to be affordable, with approximately 4,000 square feet of ground floor retail space, along with a parking garage. The premises is bounded by 2nd Street, Boston Street, Vine Street, and 3rd Street, and is designated by the Assessor's Department as parcels numbers K05-000067, K05-000068, and K05-000176, and is located in the Commercial Triangle Economic Development District. This matter is continued from October 13th, 2020. I can provide to the board as well. We actually have had quite a fair bit of correspondence between the applicant, our peer reviewers, city staff in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks. The traffic peer review has now been finalized, although the peer reviewer still wants to talk to the applicant and their team. The applicant has asked once again for a continuance until our next meeting, which would be April 26th. They do feel, though, that at that time they will have kind of all the ducks in a row and we'll be ready to go.
So they are requesting continuance till April 26th,
That is correct.
2021, via Zoom. Is
Yes.
that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Well, then the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion for continuance for 2nd and Vine until April 26, 2021 via Zoom at 7 o'clock.
Second motion.
A motion has been made and seconded to continue Second and Vine and the other address until April 26, 2021, 7 PM via Zoom. Can we have a roll call vote?
Yes. Michael O'Connor,
Yes.
Cheyenne Rangle,
Yes.
George D'Angelo,
Yes.
Leo Pisano,
yes,
and Chairman Cafaso.
Yes. Motion has been granted. Thank you. Next order.
Next order of business, Mr. Chair, is item number 2 under old business. This is a site plan review and special permit for 319 Broadway. This is a proposal to raise an existing single-family dwelling with large detached garage and construct a 5-story residential building consisting of 20 one-bedroom units, 3 of which will be designated as affordable units. The area of the subject lot is 7,180 square feet and is designated as assessor's parcels number K0-000-107. This matter is continued from our March 8th, 2021 meeting.
Thank you. As you know, it was continued from March, what was it?
March 8th.
Oh, March 8th. Okay. Needless to say, we are open. The public hearing was held. However, it's still open for public comment.
March 22nd.
Is there anyone out there that's like to comment?
It's Steve Catino again. Hey, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, my comment is, I just feel as though it's a lot of building, or a lot of units in a small lot with not enough parking.
Here.
With school back in, I was around the property again, teachers or other people are parking on a one-sided street and there's still not enough parking. So, I'd like to see more parking, less units and more parking. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else out there?
This is Robin Stein from KP Law. I just had a clarification, and forgive me if I asked this before, but I didn't see it in my notes. Currently pending before the board is the site plan, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
The IZ permit has not yet been applied for, or,
That's correct. That's correct,
Okay.
Attorney Stein. That only the site plan, the IZ permit isn't ready yet.
okay, so there's no dimensional site plan, so it's relief, I'm sorry, dimensional special permit relief you're looking for. So we're just talking site plan right now, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I think we talked about that before. I just wanted to clarify it.
Yes. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Attorney Paul Delory representing the applicant, I'd like to thank you and the board in advance for this hearing tonight. I just want to clear up one thing that I think Attorney Latanzi had said is I think the hearing was continued from 3/22, from March 22. I think you said March 8th, but it was March 22.
Yeah,
That is correct.
It was first shown on an agenda, although the public hearing had not opened. So it was first shown on an agenda from March 8th, but the 22nd was the first true public hearing.
Great, thank you. To the members of the board, I just want to, just to refresh your memory, proposal is to raise the existing building, which is an old and abandoned single-family residence, which served at one point as a funeral home for the Rocco family, and to erect a 20-unit building with 3 affordable units. We were before the board, and there was a significant amount of discussion last time concerning the amount of masonry in view of the building standards. So the team went back and put our heads together and wanted to address that issue that was raised. And we did so by adding additional masonry to the facade of the building, which would be applicable in terms of facade on the building standards. That is the facade that faces Broadway and the Revere Beach Parkway. If you look at the proposal, and I'm sorry, I do want to say that I'm also joined on this Zoom conference with Mr. McKeon, who's the architect. I know you were on the screen earlier, but I was looking for you. I think he's here in case he wants to comment. But if you look at page 201, that's up on the screen right now, we'll share the screen on our end. The overall facade on that Broadway elevation is 2,400 square feet. And the brick required at a minimum is 20%, 480 square feet. The brick now provided is 960 square feet. So it's 40%. It's double the minimum requirement. If you look at the long column, you'll see that it's been extended upward towards the top of the building. And there is brick around the garage door. So that's one item that's been additional. If you then look at the second picture on that particular slide, under the building standards, there is no brick required on that side of the building because it doesn't face one of the major thoroughfares. However, the architect has provided 15% brick, 865 square feet of brick. If you then look at the next slide, which is 202, again, now this is the back of the building, the rear of the building that faces the Revere Beach Parkway, and that's 2,120 square feet of area. And again, the minimum is 20%, 425 square feet, and the architect has now raised the column of brick to 32% for 660 square feet. And then lastly, if you look at the other side, which would be the north elevation facing up Broadway towards Everett Square, again, it's not a facade which faces a major thoroughfare, so it's not covered technically by the building standards under the architectural architectural details. And so there is 0% required, but 15% has been provided, 785 square feet. The thing that I want to stress is when you look at the various aspects of the building, we could go to AR1 and go to the end. If you look at the various aspects of the building, what the architect has done now has superimposed what this building will look like in place when completed. And one of the reasons that more attention was paid to the front and to the rear, obviously because of the building standards, but that's what shows. If you see where the building is sited and you can see how it will look when completed, the north face is nearly entirely covered by a three-story house next door. The south face facing Boston is nearly significantly covered except for the top floor with both the karate studio that's there on the corner plus that billboard. And so the addition of even more brick there would really it wouldn't achieve the look that I think the board wants, and certainly it seems like it would be an extra expense. They'd rather concentrate on the front end and the rear of the building. So I think that that's important to see. That every effort has been made to try and blend that in. And again, I'll let Mr. McKeon speak to that, but that's been the concept of using both a darker brown, a lighter brown, and the light color in there as well. One of the really sort of dramatic effects of the building, which is very appealing, is the aluminum corner there with the glass with the aluminum paneling on it. That's a very striking look as you come around the Rotary. It's a very, very impressive look to see. And a couple of things I want to point out with regard to Mr. Catino's comment. He talks about parking, but you think about this building, there's 8 parking spaces for this building. And there are no other resident stickers that will be allowed. And if there are any allowed based on frontage, it will be very small. So the people that have a car that can park there, that's one thing, they'll park under the building. There really isn't any resident stickers for the remaining residents. So there's really not any negative impact in terms of parking. And, with all due respect to Mr. Catino, I drove by and got out of my car and looked at his building, and he's got a full house there with a lot of the residents parking in the schoolyard. Watch some of these people get out of their car and walk across and go into his house. And, that's a 3-family house with a number of people in that house. So I don't think the building would lead to parking issues as much as the density that he has there. He has probably a greater FAR than this building. So I just want to, clear that up. I mean, I understand his comments and I respect his comments, but that's something that that we are not going to contribute to the parking issue beyond what's going to be parked on site. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I'd like to ask Mr. McKeon if you want to add anything to that. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair and Board. This is Mike McEwen from Dennis Myers, the architects. Paul, I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
And I don't have anything to add at this time. I'm sure there'll be questions.
That's why I called on you.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Delory, can you hear me, Mr. Delory?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Now, from our meeting this evening, whether it goes and continues or whether it passes or doesn't pass, the next trip is to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
So we're the first outlet, and then your zoning ZBA is next. Is that correct?
That, yes, and just to sort of complete the circle, as Attorney Stein mentioned, we'll be back to you for the inclusionary zoning. We use one particular agency, but this particular client has worked with another agency, and they're engaged now, and I would think shortly we'll file an IZ request with your board. But yes, the next stop is the Board of Appeals. This sort of came up when Jim Soap was building inspector. They kind of reversed the process, and they wanted to go to planning board first, then ZBA, and this started under that format. So that's why we're here first as opposed to ZBA.
Thank you.
Can I just clarify through you, Mr. Chair? When you go
Yes.
to the, and this is Robin Stein again from KP Law. When you go to the ZBA, you're going to be looking for variances for parking, FAR, and number of stories.
Yes. Yep.
Anything
Yep.
else?
That's it.
Okay. And
Thank
you're
you.
providing, is it 9 spaces on site or 8
Eight
spaces?
spaces.
8
Eight
spaces.
spaces. Yep.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
So you're looking for relief for
Actually, just to clarify. if I
12
could-
spaces or something, or better?
Yeah, if I could clarify, we're looking for relief for the number of stories, but the actual height of the building is compliant. So in other words, it's lower than the upper limit that would require a variance. So it's compliant in terms of height, but it so happens that the number of stories, there's an extra story. So that's a little bit of a quirk there, but yes, we will be looking for a variance for the number of stories. Correct.
Thank you. Any questions or comments out there anybody in Zoom?
Yes,
Mr.
I
Lattanzi?
do, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
So it appears that it looks like out of the 20 units, there's going to only be 8 persons with cars, which I don't buy, because if there's 20 units, they could have up to 2 people in a unit, which could be 20 cars. I get everyone's not going to have a car, but in the case that more than 8 people have a car, you're saying that they can't park on the street. What about company? What about guests? Things like that. I'm already embedded there, my home with the parking. It doesn't mean that the city should look to make things more complex with a housing for 20 units. Like, again, it increases at 2,000%. It's a single family home, you're going to 20 units. I just find it hard to believe that building, the new building, would only have 8 cars for 20 units.
Mr. Chairman, this is Andrew Delory. I just want to rebut to that if I can quickly. I just don't want the board to lose focus of the kind of the lines that the city is requiring these developers now to color within. There are spaces that are on site, which will be provided for the unit owners. The transportation management plan will provide that a capped number of residential stickers will be available to residents of that building. I believe there's only 1 sticker available to the general public who otherwise doesn't have a parking space in that building. And otherwise, it's a regular condition that these developers are agreeing that no residential stickers will otherwise be provided. So when it comes to parking at night, it's true, there will be no additional parking there because those vehicles will not have residential stickers. So, the only potential is you have somebody who is a guest there temporarily during the day who is allowed to park on a space realistically on Broadway, which is also greatly limited now by having the bus lane run in each direction, depending on what time of the day it is. So the reality is there really only can be eight parking spaces made available to the residents of that building. And our developer has to make a decision that's what they have to be able to provide to their residents. And if that, they have to take the gamble that that's not going to affect their ability to re-rent the unit. So I don't want to spend all night fighting about the parking in Everett Square, but I live in Everett Square. I work in Everett Square. The commercial uses here are the largest causes of traffic in the square itself. And there won't be any more residential stickers available to the residents of the building that we're talking about. So we're really only talking about 8 spaces at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Delory. Any other questions, comments out there?
At the
Matthew?
last meeting, Mr. Pisano requested that the designers consider reducing the number of stories. I know you went back and looked at the brick that he requested, but did you give any consideration to the reduction of stories that he requested?
Yes, we did. There was a discussion on that. It's just, Mr. D'Angelo, economically, it just doesn't work at less than 20 stories in given present construction cost, 20 units in the extra story, given construction costs. There was some discussion about trying to reconfigure the units on different floors. Spent quite a bit of time on it, but just couldn't come up with a satisfactory solution.
Well,
Thank you.
are we picking up, is it our turn now, Mr. Chairman, to speak, the board?
The board can talk, yes.
Okay, we'll pick up then, as Mr. D'Angelo says, we'll pick up where we left off the last time. I personally, I don't speak for the board, I speak for myself, that should be a 4-story building, nothing more. As was brought up at the last meeting, it's a gateway to the city. And I don't think the first thing people should see is a 5-story building jutting up down there. It's way out of place as far as being near the school, the building across the street. It doesn't conform at all down there. So I'm staying with 4 stories. The architect, the coiling door on the front of the building makes it look like a garage down there. I thought there was going to be some kind of input into that coiling door. Take it, move it deeper into the building, whatever, but that coiling door does not look right at all on the building in the front. Is there 15% green space to this building as required? That's important. I brought up the fact that at the end of after everything is put together, I want to see a full rendition of this building because I want to know where metal panels versus hardy board is going to be used. Obviously, we want to have more metal panels than hardy board. That does not look, just doesn't look right as a gateway building. And I don't mean to pick on this building, but if it were another part of the city, you might get away with it. But where it's the first building you see, and we fought for the gentleman across the street from you, and he conformed, we're going to look for the same thing there. As far as parking is concerned, I would ask the applicant the question. You've got 20 apartments, 8 spots. What happens if you have tenants that have 10 cars? Where do those other 2 cars park? Have you thought about the neighborhood, as Mr. Catino says? And it even gets worse. What if 3/4 of your tenants have cars? Where do they park? Have you thought about that? Are you going to simply say, oh, we're not going to lease? Once we get to a limit, 8 cars, we're not going to lease to people that have a car. Or do you have a solution to the problem? Under the new resident sticker program that's coming along, I believe you get 1 resident sticker per 20 feet of frontage. So now, bang, you're back out into the street again, eating up more parking spaces in the area. I just find the building, it's in a tough spot. It's a nice looking building. I'll give the architect credit for that. The front, the aluminum is obviously the standout point, the aluminum and glass. The height is wrong. You need more metal panels. Thank you for taking up the consideration, adding a lot more brick. Again, a full set of drawings will reflect that, and we can get a better picture of what's actually going on down there. So I'm kind of sticking with the 4 stories, full set of prints showing everything that's on there. Get rid of this hardy boards, put some more metal panels, 15% green space, and get rid of that coiling door. Put some kind of a gate out there or something that works just as the coiling door goes up. a nice set of wrought iron gates can open up as if it were a villa instead of a garage. So those are my comments on it. Take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pisano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, that's a lot to unpack, Mr. Pisano, but I'll let the architect weigh in on that. First of all, there is no hardy plank on the building at all. Okay, it's all.
Well,
gonna
that's
be-
what I don't know, Mr. Delory, because it shows panels. Doesn't
Right.
this specify whether metal, aluminum,
They're
whatever?
aluminum, yeah, but
That's what we have, that's what I'd like to know, please.
Okay, let me, before I go, let me ask the architect, Mr. McEwen, to comment on some of those things. The garage door is set back for a reason so that it doesn't look like it's right out on the street. If you look at the plan, it's set back, I think, 19 feet, 16 feet from the sidewalk. Mike, could I ask you to weigh in on that if you would, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Paul. And thank you for your comments, Leo, very much. If we can go to sheet A702, the view 1 and view 2, the top there. If we can zoom in a little bit to perhaps the coiling door, I just wanted to address that first. So we heard I believe the board's comments last time that we didn't want something that looked like a garage door per se, that we wanted something inviting. And the idea here, if you look closely at the images, that was not able to show in the rendition on the last sheet, just given the perspective. This is actually a tinted dark translucent material. So if you look closely at these images at the door, you can actually see through the door. So the idea was that you can provide a door that has a tint to it for safety reasons, but that it's inviting. It doesn't have that metal slat look that I think Mr. Pisano was referring to here. And we tried to address that in the notes on the elevations, as well as these views, kind of tell the picture best, that we wanted something that would function safety wise, that would have some visual privacy, but also not be aesthetically unappealing. And what Paul was referring to in terms of the setback, you could see that the brick returns in and around all sides of the door and actually deep into the building, which you can see on view 3 right there.
I believe you only sit back 3 foot 6 inches from the face of the building with that coiling door.
Yeah, it's 3 to 4 feet, Leo, but it's 26 feet from Broadway.
Yeah, but that's not what we see. We see it from the building. It's only 3 foot 6 setback.
Right. The goal here was that you could get a full-size vehicle, a full-size extended cab truck, or a work van, a longer vehicle off of Broadway up to the door with time for the door to open and queue and not hold up traffic or impact traffic and things like that.
Why couldn't you move the door deeper into the building? You have plenty of space. I'm looking at your architects, 101 page A100. You seem to have plenty of depth. And as far as the aesthetics of that metal door, that metal grate, let's call it a metal grate, a plastic, whatever. It looks like a liquor store where they pull down the grate at night. It doesn't look.
So Leo, I think you're missing the picture here. This is actually a see-through material. It's not going to look like a metal material that you'd see. If you go to those images, you can actually see that
there's
some transparency to it.
That's correct. In that view right there, you can see that you can see through it, or it's translucent to an extent. Maybe if you brought us a sample of the product, we could understand it better.
Sure. But to your question earlier, if it's possible to move the door farther into the building, I'd say that it is. What we were trying to be sensitive to, if you look at that A101 sheet, is there is an access door from the garage side into a small vestibule. And we just wanted to find a nice balance between the approach side on either side of the door, such that people aren't in a space where a car is going to be when they're exiting through the door. You
A
can see
good,
the
a
small
good build-
man door there, just north of the mechanical room.
a good building to look at is the Rovierre building right next to the City Hall. If you look at that, it has a coiled door, but it's probably set 15 feet deep into the building. You don't even know it's there. That's why I say setting that deeper into the building will just negate that it's even there.
Sure,
So-
in all honesty, I feel like we have a lot of options with the door.
Good.
And it's not a difficult thing to look at different door types and or setting the door deeper into the building. If that's something that the board would like, that it's certainly something that's not difficult to do. What we wanted to do is to have the door almost blend in with the facade, and that's why we tried to go with a dark tinted translucent material. So that you're not even noticing that it's there. It does its job, but we really wanted the brick to be the standout on Broadway because it's going to be very, very, very striking.
We agree with that. That's why I think that the door, whether it be translucent or whatever, detracts from the beauty of the aluminum tower, your glass and aluminum tower. I think it detracts from it. It can be set back where you don't even notice it. I mean, that's whatever. Try to come up with something, Mr. McCann, please, would you, to remedy that? Make the door disappear. I don't know why you don't get rid of the door altogether and put in like I say, a wrought iron gate that opens up. Again, and I hate to use the term like a villa, but something that has some aesthetics to it, that looks nice, that you can leave it out there and you just push the button and the two gates open up and the cars go in and out, whether it coils up or swings in. I don't know if it matters, but I think there's a lot more options than a coiling door.
Yeah, I will just add to that. The swinging gate is a nice design feature. Unfortunately, we're limited with the space that we have between the door and Broadway and inside the building. So we need something that's going to raise vertically and up and out of the way where you don't need 10 foot in front of the vehicle for it to open. That was the reason.
Why can't it open in?
Well, again, we're trying to be sensitive to people parking, pedestrian walkways, and where the cars are going to queue inside the building as well.
Wow, I'm looking at you.
I can address the green space. With regard to the design standards, we had large planting beds out front of the building at the base of the masonry walls that we'd like to have flowering plants or some other type of greenery. And we also have an option all along the privacy fence and in other various areas within the site to provide, more than the 15%.
You have more than 15% green space?
Yeah, that's not an issue at all.
Okay.
We had on the plans been toying with drainable materials, some river rock and some nice pretty stonework that's going to be maintenance free. And just hadn't dialed in exactly how much of each we would have just yet.
I don't think it's a problem between your building and the karate school, what product you use there. It becomes an alley more than anything. When you exit out the back of the karate school, that should be green space, not gravel run, whatever, a stone. It should be grass, period. Be honest with you, or planting the shrubs, whatever. That's why it's called green space.
Yeah, and we have no problem meeting the 15%. That's no problem.
Okay, very good. So again, I guess we're stuck on a couple of issues.
Yeah, and I would just reiterate to Mr. Delory's comment, we did fight with the height and the stories of the building and looked at it in great detail to try to reconfigure the units. There's been a lot of study and a lot of time put into that. And to just given the dimensionality of the site and the space that we're working with, unfortunately, that fifth story is a must to get the numbers to work for our client. But I will also add that we were very sensitive to the height, and that's why we kept the stories as short as we could to keep us underneath that 65-foot maximum height there for the building. And we tried to be sensitive of our surroundings, and we think that rendition, that AR1 sheet, is a really good example of trying to meld the new modern elegant aesthetic with the traditional and the brick, and just have a really nice showpiece as you come into the city from Boston.
Okay, well, try to put as much together for the next meeting as you can, and we'll go through it again and see what you come up with, okay?
So
Any other
can I
questions,
ask
Tom?
Leo, if I can, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman?
Paul.
So you would like a sample of the garage door material? Is that one of the things that you
Well,
want to see?
you can bring it, but I really, even at that, I'm almost negative to the whole fact of it's any kind of coiling door whatsoever there. I can't see why it can't be a gate that opens into the building. If I think you have a 19-foot opening there, 2 gates, 10-foot, whatever, and they open in. You're not, there's no cars queuing in there. You're not supposed to be parking cars there because then people can't get in and out. So as I look at your drawing here, A100, and I'm looking at that area, you have a great deal of area there to allow those doors to open in. No problem at all. And I would really like to see those doors go and put something nice there that even in a closed position, and if it is only 3'6" back, it looks nice. Let them open in. And as far as queuing, you're right. And they should be even deeper into the building so you allow a better queuing so the pedestrians don't have to stop when you got a truck sitting there or something waiting for the door to open. Not that it takes more than a couple of seconds. I'll agree with that. That's really, I don't find that being a problem if you had to wait 5 seconds for a door to open, truck go in. So, but just make this building in our city look nice, would you please? This is the coiling doors. I swear, it looks like a supermarket opposed to Great Down. It's McKinnon's here. No, make it look nice. It doesn't cut it.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
questions? Any other comments?
I've got one question. Does anyone know the approximate height of the current building?
I'm sorry, what building?
The building that's on the site now? The current height of it? Any idea?
I don't, do you, maybe the architect can say, I'm not sure. It looks to me based on the photometric plan on A202, Mr. O'Connor, that it looks like it's about 38, 39 feet.
And that was going to be my comment as well. It looks to be just above 35, 37, 8 feet.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
If I could also just say that, one of the difficulties in dealing with anything under, this particular zoning matter when you're talking about height is that the city makes a determination that 65 feet is the maximum, and the fact that the stories are a little bit lower was still within that 65-foot. So the intent of limiting the height has been met. And just by virtue of the fact that, that the floors are going to be a little bit narrower to accommodate that 5th floor, it really still stays within the height range. So, again, a lot of thought went into that as well to make sure that that was not one of the areas in which we were out of compliance dimensionally.
Then I would ask Robin, if she's still out there.
I'm here.
Hi, Robin. The jurisdiction of that very question comes under whose authority? The planning board or the ZBA? It's an odd, Mr. Delory is correct. I never liked 65 feet. I tried to have that changed a long time ago for that very reason. That if you can't have both, 65 feet and 4 stories. It's an awful tall story to get to 65 feet. So that should have been changed a long time ago. As far as I was concerned, all Broadway should have only been 3 stories high, not even 4. What are we doing? We're going to make a shadow box going up the street. It's going to be a tunnel, an alley, instead of a nice street. So I asked that again to Robin, whose jurisdiction that this, can the planning board say to this applicant, we're going to reject your site plan review because you're too high? Or does that go in front of the ZBA when their next time comes up? Or should they kind of sidestep us right now and go in front of the ZBA and get a variance for the height? I don't want to tie this applicant up, and I don't want to tie the board up. It just seems that we're stuck in neutral here. Now, the other side of the coin is, I might be the only person on this board that thinks the building's too high. We have 4 other board members that might say, Leo, you're wrong. Let them go up to the 5 feet, 5 stories. So there's just a lot of questions to be asked here, and I don't want to delay the applicant. So it falls on you, Robin.
Well, there was a lot in that. I'm not exactly sure which part of it you want me to address, but certainly the ability to give stories relief sits with the ZBA, the ability to grant the variance. Whether or not in the course of your site plan review, there may or may not be concerns that relate to the impact of that is another story. I'm not exactly sure what the root of your particular concerns are. You know, if it's a straight height issue or if it has to do with how that impacts a component of site plan review, you know, maybe a different issue. But I do think it makes sense to have some input from other, you know, board members on the issue. And then
I agree with you, but
it would help me be able to maybe answer that question a little better now or at a subsequent meeting if I had a better sense of what the overall concern is.
could we take that as a separate motion to ask the board?
Well, I think the board can discuss.
Can I make a motion to ask the other members on that one item? Are they favorable or against the fact of a 5-story building?
So I don't think you need a motion. I think you can just, you know, ask if anybody has any particular thoughts or inputs on the other board members that they want to share on that issue.
Then I would ask the chairman then to poll the planning board on the question, do you want 5 stories or do you want to go to 4 stories? It's only fair to the applicant. And obviously my answer to that question would be 4 stories. I think you should poll the planning board.
Well, Mr. Delory, I think your question is apropos. However, that's the reason for the planning board to have 5 members. They have the right to speak as they want. And I don't think we need to poll them. I think they need to vote their conscience if it comes to a vote. For whatever reason.
Okay.
And I will just remind folks, I believe Jim is sitting on this one and not Michael, because Michael had some technical issues at the beginning of the last meeting. Just to clarify who the members are, it's the 4 regular members and Jim.
Jim Tar.
James Tar, apologize, who are sitting on this one,
So those are the 4 members plus myself that would be
the 5.
voting.
So what we need to do is allow the applicant to answer all the questions tonight, bring them back at the next meeting, and then have a vote at the next meeting. Would that be fair to say?
That's what the board wants. That's what the board can do.
We can
Okay.
certainly have a draft decision ready for the board's consideration at the next meeting. Obviously, if there are any revised plans or changes, we would need to update that, but we can certainly have a decision ready for the board to consider for a vote at the next meeting.
Mr. Chair, if I may, for just a moment, this is Mike McEwen from Dennis Myers, the Architects.
Yes, Mr. McEwen.
If I could just make a suggestion for the board to consider perhaps. The discussions regarding the entrance door to the building and its setback and its type are generally not difficult for us to do. And that's certainly things that the client and us on the design team can accept now. That's not something necessarily that's hard for us to do design-wise for the building. So what I would ask is if the board is accepting of this, if we can make that a contingency to the approval of the project, and if the board is accepting of the height, we've tried very, very hard to exceed the amounts of brick material and masonry on the building. We've tried to stay within the 65-foot allowable height, despite the added story. We're open to and more than willing to provide the type and style of door that that Mr. Pisano had mentioned would look really striking on the front of this building. And as he's noted, you know, we just like not to be held up over little things. So, you know, if the story is the issue, then we'd like to know now. But we can provide the other items that Mr. Pisano was asked without too much fuss.
Sorry, and I didn't, if I might get to quite finish my comment, because I know there were quite a few parts of Leo's question earlier, but as you all know, site plan is generally something you can't just deny for a project that, you know, is an allowed use. So ultimately, you know, if they get their variances, and I can certainly take another look at this before the next meeting and be able to maybe address it in more specificity, but, you know, generally speaking, site plan is not a discretionary form of review, and you're really looking at the project and how to condition the project and how to deal with mitigation and what have you. And I just, you know, want to make sure, you know, we're clear on that issue, that the actual relief, and that's why I was clarifying earlier what they would need for forms of variances, the actual relief related to storage will come from the zoning board. But to the extent that there are concerns about the, you know, the impacts of the height or shadowing or, you know, mitigating the scale or what have you that you want to discuss, that's definitely, I think, something you can talk about in site plan.
So
Thank
then
you,
if
Robin.
if the architect would have answered all our questions, as Mr. McKeon just said, at the next meeting, we could take that height out of our decision and leave it stay with the ZBA. Is that right, Robin? Since I know what you're saying, we can't shoot the project down because we don't like the height. And I don't want to keep this applicant hanging either. So if they come back and as far as the door, and he's correct, these are minor issues, green space, panels, looking at things, the height's the problem. So if they came back and met all our requirements except for the height, we would just say, grant them the site plan review, allow them to go to the ZBA and let the ZBA make the decisions on the height. But also in turn, not that it matters because it never seems to, does the planning board get to make a recommendation to the ZBA?
Well, the planning board can always make a recommendation to the
Okay,
ZBA.
fine. Okay, then I'd like to leave it at that. Let the applicant
Okay,
come back,
leave it at-
plead their
Yep.
case.
Certainly have a decision drafted for you to have something in front of you to look at for the next meeting.
That'll be fine.
And to that end, and I don't know if this is a good time to discuss it, I did have a couple items noted for conditions that may or may not be included, such as that there would only be one resident parking sticker, which I think is consistent with the city's new parking program. And we'll probably need to get some input in the meantime from the transportation planner on just any of the transportation management mitigation, which I think was discussed previously, but my understanding is he's away today. So those are items that we would look to include in the draft decision for your review and discussion at the next.
Robin, the only thing I want to say to that is that we,
Oh, Andrew, that's a ton of, yep.
Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry.
We're too much zooming going on in this room right now. We did meet with Jay Monty twice already. We
great.
had a meeting in the last summer, and we had a meeting in the last couple of weeks. That's why the transportation management thing is so new. So when I say one space, I think that's what Jay had referred to, but I'm not sure if Leo's correct. We're talking one or two spaces at the most.
So one for every 20 feet of frontage.
We'll follow up, either Matt or myself or both of us with Jay between now and then we'll, in the course of drafting something for the board to look at, then we can flush those items out. I just had them on the list of things that to make sure to be included.
Yeah, just what I would just ask that it's consistent with whatever the transportation management plan would later provide, because it's only one or two spaces. So it's like we talked about, there's 8 on the site and there's 1 or 2 resident spaces available, and everything else around here is a resident sticker required space. So to answer Mr. Pisano's question, are we going to rent this building to people who don't have cars? That's the only choice. It's the only choice, because there is nowhere else, unless you want to come pay me to park in my driveway, there's nowhere else for you to put that car. So the choice is to rent it to people who do not have vehicles once you've exceeded the number of spaces.
It would be nice to be able to put that into your site plan review approval, but I know we can't. So, but we'll be bringing that up, Andy, later on if we find, 15 cars down there, say, don't forget what you told us. So take it from there.
There'll be a lot of revenue for the city, Leo, if that happens, I think.
We got enough revenue. We're rolling in cash, for Christ's sake. Soon as we get our 30 million, we don't need these buildings.
I mean, I would say just looking at the width, if you look at the drive is 19 feet. If you double that, you're at 38. So I don't think it quite achieves even the 40. So it may
You're
only
right,
be
you
one.
might, that's why they might be saying the one spot. You're right, Paul. Yeah,
Might be one spot. So
Yeah.
that very well could be the case.
okay.
Well, I'll follow up with Jay as we prepare the draft decision for the board's review and, that said, it sounds like we're moving towards a continuance. I recommend the public stay open, that the applicant has the ability to submit revised plans to you and the ability to discuss those with you, and also to then be able to comment on those conditions.
I just want to be absolutely clear what you want us to bring into the next meeting. Obviously, a change to the door, the garage door. You wanted to know what type of material the other parts of the exterior of the building were. It's going to be panels, but you want to know what the material is. I'll ask the architectural team to indicate that on the building, what it will be. And what else? Was there any? I just want to be sure that we're not leaving any questions on the
No,
table.
I think there was a question about the details on the green space.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. That's so minor that they said they got 15, whether it's stone or green space, it's been accommodated for, so fine.
Okay.
Yeah, Paul, you've got everything.
Okay. All right.
And,
So it's
and I just wanted to add, sorry, Mr. Chair, for cutting you off there. What we did do, Mr. Pisano, and for the board's ratification here, is all of the other material on the facade we have noted. There's the reveal panel system that was last meeting listed as a wall panel system is a fiber cement reveal system. It's a cementitious product that's has reveals into it, and it's a very durable and striking material that comes in different colors, wood textures, metal textures, and that's what the remainder of the building will be clad with. Mr. Pisano had mentioned last meeting for hopes that there wouldn't be EFS on the building. There is none at this time. And with the increase of brick, we looked at the elevations. We added some metal panel in and around the window systems for the brick. So all of that's noted on the elevations at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
At this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion for continuance for 319 Broadway till April 26, 2021 via Zoom at 7 o'clock.
With the public comment being kept
With the
open.
public still being held open, public portion open. Yep.
Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to continue 319 Broadway to, what is it? April what?
26.
26th, 7 PM via Zoom with public comment being left open. Roll call vote.
Leo Pisano,
Yes.
Cheyenne Rangle,
Yes.
George D'Angelo,
Yes.
Jim Tar,
Yes.
and Chairman Cafaso.
Yes. Motion is continued. Thank you. Next order of business, please.
Next order of business, Mr. Chair, is item number 1 under new business. This is a site plan review for 48 Nichols. This is a proposal for redevelopment, including the demolition of an existing single-family house and the construction of a new 3-story, 9-unit residential building of a parcel of land located at 48 Nichols Street, that being a parcel of land referenced by Assessor's Department as M0-08-000178. I do want to just note, as the agenda states, that this matter had been withdrawn and now resubmitted with an amended unit count. It was originally brought forth to this board as a 6-unit project and is now resubmitted as a 9-unit project.
We didn't get a set of prints on this yet, did we?
Yep, I emailed them out.
Emailed them?
Yes.
I never saw them.
Okay. We don't get hard copies?
Is the proponent here?
So,
Yes, Greg Antonelli, manager of 140 Tremont Street LLC. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Good evening.
Evening.
Is that a problem that no one has a hard copy of the plans? Do you want to postpone this till?
No, you could give us a complete rundown, and then when we get the hard copies, we'll tie it in.
This is the picture.
Okay. Matt, are you able to pull it up?
Greg's,
Yeah, I can do that. Give me a second.
Thank you.
Greg's daughter. Look and see it.
You're playing hide and seek?
There's Scotch, Fred.
There she is.
No.
Hello?
Hi.
Everybody working?
Yeah, my computer is incredibly slow. Let's see now.
I have it open if you want me to share.
No, that wouldn't be the worst thing.
I just need to rotate. So am I sharing?
No.
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 Mr. Antonelli,
Yes.
is that your prop director behind you?
That's my Zoom specialist, Juliana. Juliana, say hi.
Hi.
Architect in waiting. I see you cut the trees down there, Mr. Antonelli.
I did.
After we told you at the last meeting, we really liked that one tree that was there.
I told you I was gonna plant it, and I'm happy to make that a condition of if my proposal gets accepted, I'm happy to make it a condition that I'm happy to install a new 4 to 5 inch caliper.
I don't know if I'm gonna be around long enough to see it grow the way the
Well,
other one was.
that's why I'm offering a 4 to 5 inch and not a 2 to 3 inch.
8-inch caliber look real good there.
Very difficult to get.
You make it happen.
All right, can everyone see my screen now?
Nope.
Back on my eyes.
Wonderful.
Screen share.
How about now?
Yes.
Yes.
All righty.
So members of the board, if you recall, I was before you about 12 weeks ago with a similar proposal to build a 6-unit building. The building shape, size, and look hasn't really changed. I have made some material changes to the plan as requested and as heard by the board. I changed the entrance from Nickel Street side to the Woodlawn Street side. I think I moved the bump out down from the porch. I don't think from where the porch was to the corner of the building. I removed 3 parking spots, of 2 which came in question before the board because of the side yard and rear yard setbacks. Leo had made a comment that he was concerned that I would probably need a variance because it was too close to a window. So I eliminated those when I reconformed the building. I went from 6 units to 9 units. The 6 units had 6 2-bedroom apartments with a total of 12 bedrooms and 10 to 12 parking spots. The new plan is 9 units which is composed of 6 1-bedrooms and 3 2-bedrooms for a total of 9 bedrooms. So the building is the same size and shape, but the actual bedroom count has been reduced. The parking is 9 spots now. And again, the biggest change is the entrance is now on the Woodlawn Street side. It flows a lot better and it basically takes away the pedestrian traffic from Nickel Street. Other than that, the look is pretty much the same. Same materials.
Well, I have a question on this. You go to the floor plan, are you only going to have one egress?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
Yes, that is correct. One egress now.
Don't you need 2 by code?
By code, you don't need to. It's in the building code. One egress on a 3-story, 6-unit building. My architect researched that.
But it's a 3-story,
What do you
9-unit
think,
building.
what do you think, Cheyenne?
Yes.
Is that right, Cheyenne?
I have to, unless it's on the new code, I don't think so.
I don't either.
That's correct.
Two egresses for all buildings, but okay, we'll let the building inspector worry about that.
Yeah.
The last time you were here, we talked about, I brought up the word gutters. And you didn't think that this board had jurisdiction over that, but we do have jurisdiction over gutters because it's part of sections 28 and 29 stormwater. So that we have that because we don't want to see the water draining into the adjacent lot. So give us an idea what you're doing for some kind of gutter system there, please.
Sure. So I don't recall you even mentioning gutters, or if that was,
Yeah, because you commented on it that you didn't think we had jurisdiction. And
I don't.
we do.
Truthfully, I don't recall that, but this is a flat roof. So this is gonna have roof drains.
Okay, there you go. The last one didn't. Okay, thank you. Okay, solves the
No,
problem.
the last one was similar, but this will have roof drains and the interior leaders will be discharged out. But this is a flat roof, so there's no particular slope to either side of the property, front, back, left or right. So they'll have, interior roof drains, but it'll be a flat roof, which I'm sure you know a flat roof will have drainage up on top the way the insulation pitches and stuff.
So it's the insulation pitches, not the roof.
Correct.
Okay. No parapet around it or anything?
I don't think there's gonna be a parapet on this one.
I mean, it looks dead the way it looks like that with no parapet. It's just a flat surface. There's one on the Fells Way over in Medford. I go by all the time and I look at it and I say, flat roof, why couldn't he put I wouldn't care if you put a cupola in the middle or a widow's walk or something, but some detail other than a flat looking building.
So on this particular design, to be frank with you, I'm happy to go straight flat roof and get rid of the mansard on the front. I put the mansard on the front with the shingle look to basically soften it, to make it flow with the neighbors, to not look like an apartment building. If you want, I could go straight flat, I could go hip roof, but it's gonna look massive. This basically softens it. I was trying to make it fit in the neighborhood.
The bottom 2 floors on the exterior, what is the product that's going on there?
I can't hear you that well, I'm sorry.
That's okay. The bottom two floors, what's the product that's going on there?
The bottom 2 floors is gonna be hot.
Hardy board. Okay. We'll talk about that next meeting for sure. Okay.
I'd like to address it tonight if you don't mind.
Oh, you can address it. Get rid of it. It looks like junk. Put some siding up there. Put something up there that got some shakes of texture. Put something on there, but hardy board. You got a flat roof. You got that flat. Granted,
You want shingles?
The inside.
You want shingles?
Yeah, it look nice. Anything.
Okay, I'll shingle it. No
Look
problem.
at the shakes. You can get fiberglass shakes for on there.
I'll put shakes. I'll put shingles. No problem.
You put what you want. I'm not telling you what to put there. You
I'm
come
fine
up
with
with,
put-
you come
to
up
be
with
frank, I'm
something
fine with
nice.
putting shingles.
Have your architect come up with something nice down there. That's why we pay architects very large sums of money. Make things pretty. And in your next drawing, that'll help. Okay.
Anyway, too, so.
I have no more questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
So that was the first time I modified them.
So, just in responding to Leo, I'm happy to change the siding to shingles.
Or to whatever you want. I'm not telling you what to
I
put
really
there.
don't want to change it to a straight flat roof, square looking building. I feel as though the gables and the dormers give it some character, so it blends, so it doesn't look like an apartment building in a really predominantly residential neighborhood. That's the reason why I chose to design it as I did, with the bump out, with the gables, with the mansard, with the architectural shingles. If I go straight with a parapet, as Leo suggested, then I'm gonna end up losing the mansard look, and it's gonna go square all the way up.
Wouldn't care if you put a cornice around it. But if you leave it the way it is, Greg, if you leave it the way it is, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it could be enhanced a bit more with a cornice around that instead of a flat way to it. Whatever.
The thing is, Leo, I'm open to suggestions and I'm open to listening, but I honestly believe that this is the softest look for this neighborhood and this would fit the best.
Okay, we'll go with what you're proposing
Open to
now.
other suggestions or to hear other comments from members of the board, though, what their thoughts or opinions are also.
Absolutely. I'm all set. Thank you.
I like the look and shape of the building, Mr. Antonelli. I do. It's reminiscent of my grandfather's house that he had on I Street. Believe me when I say that. So it's bringing the old back into the new.
It is. Thank you.
And I like the design, and it's not a square box, and it has some appeal, and it's just decent looking for the neighborhood, I think, you know?
Thank you.
So, and Juliana makes a good impression. She's going to be the rental agent, so. All right, any other questions of the board? Any questions or comments on Zoom land?
None that I see.
Nothing you see.
I'm actually, hold on, are we all set, Mr. Antonelli, with the renderings?
Yes, thank you, Matt.
All right, now I can actually look through the chat. I see nothing.
I
So
just had
being a-
one, I'm sorry, Robin Stein from KP Login. Can I just clarify while we're here, the variance relief that's going to be needed at this point for this project?
Sure. So what I see is this variance is I need FAR, parking, and I need a side yard, which I'm short.
Okay. And Matt, do you have comments back from the building department on this one yet?
No.
Okay, so-
Originally, the only comments were from Mike Desmond, and those were all addressed
On the prior project.
on the prior project, but they would have it would have fallen within the same comments.
Okay, yeah, we'll just keep those in mind. As the building department takes a look at it. They pick up on it.
Right, being a public hearing, I'd like to continue. May I? I'm going to ask 3 times for all those that are in favor of this petition. Anyone in favor of this petition? Third and final time, anyone in favor of this petition? Hearing none, that part of the public hearing is closed at this time. At the same time, I'm going to ask for those that may be opposed to this petition. Anyone opposed to this petition? Anyone opposed to this petition? Third and final time, anyone opposed to this petition? Hearing none, that part of the public hearing is closed at this time. Because of the nature of public hearing, we like to continue the public hearing with letting the comments be open as well.
Thank you.
And that's my recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for continuance for 48 Nichols Street, site plan review until April 26, 2021 via Zoom at 7 o'clock with the public hearing to remain open.
Second the motion.
A motion has been made and seconded to keep 48 Nichols Street public hearing open for public comment and to resume again on the next meeting, which is April 26th, 2021 at 7 PM via Zoom. We had a roll call vote, please.
Leo Pisano,
Yes.
Michael O'Connor,
Yes.
Cheyenne Rangle,
Yes.
George D'Angelo,
Yes.
and Chairman Capasso.
Yes, motion has been continued. Thank you, Juliana.
Thank you, members of the board, Mr. Cafaso. Good evening. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Mr.
Good
Antonelli.
night.
Thank you.
Next order of business, please.
Next order of business is the approval of the meeting minutes. These are minutes from the February 8th and February 22nd meetings.
Any questions? Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the minutes from for the planning board meeting of February 8th and February 22nd, 2021.
Second motion.
Motion is made and seconded to approve for the minutes of minutes for the planning board meeting on February 8th and February 22nd. Roll call vote, please.
Leo Pisano,
Yes.
Michael O'Connor,
Yes.
Cheyenne Rangle,
Yes.
George D'Angelo,
Yes.
and Chairman Cafasso.
Yes. They have been approved. Next order of business.
That is it. Staff communications, we have none. And just as a reminder, our next meeting is Monday, April 22nd, 2021.
26th.
26.
I'm sorry, April 26th, 2021.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion for
Motion to adjourn.
adjournment.
Second motion.
Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. Roll call vote, please.
Leo Pisano,
Yes.
Michael O'Connor,
Yes.
Cheyenne Rangle,
Yes.
George D'Angelo, and Chairman Cafasso.
One question, Matt. When I emailed these signatures, did you get the last ones?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yes. We have been adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you
Good
all.
night,
Good
all.
night.
Thank
Night,
you.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.